shall we begin?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Sunday Night Madness. I apologize greatly that we are a little bit late. This seems to be habit more than accident. But we got stuck at the Chinese restaurant and then got stuck in the rainstorm on the way in. We are coming to you live right now from the Geek Public Radio studios in Alexandria, Indiana. And joined with me now is Topher, and he is opening up a delicious
ice cold
rolling rock.
Yeah, like just fresh out of the freezer. By the way,
It is nice and cold and delicious, and I am appreciative of that. On the mic, as you heard, is the lovely voice of our beautiful research assistant, Miss Krista, and she's apparently blowing kisses to everybody. Welcome to the show. We hope you are comfortable wherever you may find yourself. And if you're not comfortable, I suggest you sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
I agree. We are going to have some shit talking, some bullshitting, some fucking asshole talk, and just good old-fashioned down-home race. Wait, no, hold on. We're not going to do that on this show. We're not allowed.
You're not allowed to do anything on the show.
Yep, we're going to have good old-fashioned racing Hot Pockets. I want to have a race with Hot Pockets.
see how long they sit in your colon? Is that what?
No. See how long it takes it to cool off before you can actually eat the fucking lava. That's
Well, no, it's either
Hot
Like
Pocket.
5
too
seconds.
cold.
What's
It's like
wrong
either
with you?
too
Shut up,
cold or
double
too
mouth.
hot.
what's that?
It's either too cold or too hot.
I agree. T is not joining us.
There's
tonight.
no
I
middle
disagree.
ground.
It's
Yeah.
either cold or hot or nice.
She can literally hold it over an open fire for 4.5 hours and then just stick it in her mouth.
See, I have a yeah.
Hey, phrasing!
Thank
I
you.
don't have
Thank
the-
you. I worked hard on that joke.
I don't have things to hold it off of my gums. So, like any hot thing immediately goes into searing skin.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. That's why he
And
can't.
then-
That's why he can't have pussy anymore.
If that's searing skin, then I don't want it.
You're not hanging out at the right bars.
Or maybe I am.
Exactly.
Speaking of bars,
Don't
we
go
have,
to... What? Ooh, sorry.
none of that. None of that.
I didn't say it.
Speaking of bars,
Dick nuts.
we have a couple of stories that we'll tell before we get to our second break. We're gonna bullshit a little bit on the first segment here, and then after the first segment, we'll get to some fun stories. Of course, I always have those bar room type stories that I like to tell people because they're entertaining to say the least, and it's just a measure of stupidity to which you can put yourself against and say, "Am I that dumb?" And if the answer is no, then you're probably using the wrong benchmark. So don't ever weigh yourself against the stupidity of others. That's always a bad idea. It's like saying, "Hey, I didn't stick my fork in the light socket. I must not be that stupid." No, you're probably still stupid. You just not suicidal. There's a huge difference. So, but yeah, I'll tell a story about how I almost tried to drown my son. That was why I was not here last weekend. It is as bad as it sounds, but it's not as bad as it sounds. It was a terrible event, but it was.
It was done out of love.
There's really no getting out of that. I'm drowning myself right now. So it was a bad time.
Water.
Your introduction to the issue almost gave me a heart attack. Like, it took him 5 minutes to let me know that everything was fine. Like, he's okay. He's not dead. Well, you could have started with that.
A lot of screaming. The power of Christ compels you.
There were some
Don't tell your mother this until you get home.
Yeah,
She'd have a heart attack.
Immediately followed up with, I probably shouldn't tell your mom. She's gonna. But then I had to make the phone call to their mother. That was enjoyable.
I hope you started out with they're fine with her.
No, actually, when I called her, she was in the doctor's office, so I didn't end up talking to her for very long. I talked to her for like 30 seconds, and I ended up calling George, her husband, and I told him what happened, and he laughed it off, and he played it cool, and when he conveyed what happened to my ex. I'm pretty sure he played it cool to her too. So good looking out, George. I appreciate that. Thanks, buddy. But as kids are wont to do, there's a perfect storm of events that led up to the moment in which we almost drowned. We'll get to that after the first break. Talk about Ariel, the new casting for Ariel and the Little Mermaid. I think the Metal of Madness guys, they talked about that already in the Man Cave.
No, but we talked about it on the other side, and how that everybody can find people condemning people being mad about it, but nobody can find a single post about it actually being that.
No, so we'll discuss that after the first break.
So there's no actual being like,
Controversy.
how dare you?
I said we'll discuss it after the first break. Keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. But we'll talk about the Ariel issue. I want to talk about
the areola.
The areola issue. We'll talk about how the internet's a terrible place to have an argument. I got flag code issues I want to talk about with people because
that is
I feel
the perfect
like
place to have an argument.
People are just losing their minds over the stupidest shit, not understanding what the fuck they're talking about because it's the internet. It's what people tend to do.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I'm fucking smarter than you because I've got Google. No, you're Googling a specific thing that you're looking for. Of course, you're going to find it.
Right.
Like if I Googled, I don't know, amputee toilet blowjob porn, I would fucking find it. I promise. See,
That's
I told you it's
disturbing.
normal. It's not normal. You just found it. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. Doesn't make it accurate. Doesn't make it proper. To each their own. I'm not kink shaming, but
There you are.
I feel like there should be a fucking line
Definitely
somewhere,
kink shaming.
and that might be the line. That might be right at the line.
But amputees need love too.
I'm not saying they
do.
don't. I got an amputee story for everybody too, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, so we got some ridiculously stupid shit to talk about, and just of course overall stupidity. What did I miss? You guys are fucking cackling about something I said.
No, I
Nope.
went to pick up my phone, but I dropped it, and I figured it was loud, and everybody heard it.
No, now everybody knows that you're
that's
clumsy.
listening.
Good job.
Well, anybody that knows me knows that.
This is the person that I get text messages from on a daily basis. I don't even have to ask her what she did because I just know.
Yeah, I hurt myself today.
No, not even.
no.
She's not Johnny Cash, but it's,
I send him a message, and I'll just go, "You left me unsupervised."
yeah. And I'm
And
just
they don't know I did something to hurt myself in some way.
like, and then I'll usually respond with, "Why are you hurting yourself?" or "What did you do this
Just
time?"
now?
Just start texting him Johnny Cash, like the I hurt myself today thing. It's just like
What's
as
funny,
soon as you see gets a picture of Johnny Cash, like God dang it,
I'll hurt
What'd you do
myself
now?
while he's there, and I'll tell him he wasn't supervising me properly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no winning on the backside of that. So
It's fun.
it's an entertaining spectacle, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I'm like, I would just like to go out to a restaurant and eat, take a poop, and we'll play on my phone for a few minutes and relax without getting a text message that says, "Hey, I fell off the bed and somehow I'm under it, and the TV fell on top of me."
The TV's 15 feet away from you. How
How
the
the
hell
fuck
did you
did it
even
get over
manage
there?
that?
and I'm on fire.
And I'm on fire. My phone is fine though. That's good. I'm like, where's the dog? Oh, she's staring at me on the other side of the room. She looks nervous,
She's good.
but she's fine. So, be careful out there, citizens of Indiana. There's some pretty cool weather. I enjoy it. Not everybody does,
I
but
do.
some pretty amazing thunderstorms crossing the state right now. So if you find yourself inside of them, just be careful. Keep your eyes out. Keep your weather app up to date and all that good stuff. But yeah, I got some Borderlands news. ERB's released some new stuff we'll talk about, and we've just got a general, decent show for everybody. And I would like to remind everyone that while we may, in fact, now be a beautifully constructed internet radio site, up to and including, we now have our station identification. And Chris, can we go ahead and tell the people what that is?
Yeah, it's we've been talking about it. WNRD.
WNRD, we're fucking nerdy.
Yeah, it's WNRD DB.
That really should be the thing.
WNRD DB. GeekPublicRadio.com.
That is us. We are official, and y'all can suck it. Motherfucking high school principal said I never amount to shit. I'm an internet podcast star, motherfucker.
Mine thought I would amount to way more.
That's the most backhanded ass fucking compliment I heard in my life.
He thought I was amazing, but he got
Here you are.
Well, yeah, but here I am.
Well, shoot.
I feel like it's that it's the pinnacle when you hit it, and you're looking back at and you see all the other pinnacles you could have reached.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit.
Well, I was the only Italian student that he was apparently capable of finding because he was Italian. And so when I was applying for colleges and all of that, he would find me every possible scholarship for Italians out there.
But why are you telling people that you're fucking Italian? You're a goddamn exactly. You're a 5'1" albino pygmy from Papua New Guinea. Will you please?
They didn't
stop?
see me when I sent in the application, so I could say whatever I wanted.
But that's actually accurate.
I didn't have to send in a picture DNA
You know,
test.
they don't actually cross check your race for the most part on those college apps and things like that. In your grants, most of the time they don't authenticate your race.
Right?
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Well,
That's,
I mean, Rachel
that's
does that.
mind-boggling.
I mean, Rachel does that.
Sorry.
I mean, they got their internet now, so I mean, they can just look up your Facebook. Just saying. Although with the way that some of the politicians are acting in office now, you can just say you are one thing, and if anybody challenges it, then you're a racist. So it's fucking irrelevant.
How dare you?
How dare you make fun of me for making an outrageous claim about...
Hold it, what the hell is that shit?
Fucking exactly. God forbid you call somebody out on their bullshit. It happens way more than you'd think, too. I have a story about that. And quick, what do we got for break? How far are we away?
We can go now.
We can go on break now.
Yeah,
take a break, get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way, and then we'll
come
have
back and
another break
bullshit.
until
All right, that's cool. Before we
quarter till.
All right, before we go on break, just to remind everybody that while we do have the WNRD designation, we are still looking for your support in a monetary way. We appreciate each and every one of our listeners, and if you'd like to contribute in a more tangible way, then you can go to patreon.com/GP Network. There you can donate to one of three levels. You have the $2 level, which is buy me a drink, buy me a beer specifically. The $5 level, which is buy me a shot. I like to drink whiskey. I like rum. I like vodka.
I like whiskey and tequila.
I like to drink.
I like to drink. Right? And when you get to the $10 level, now what you're trying to do is get us white girl wasted. And
we love that one.
We
by
love
himself.
that one. That's the favorite one. $2 level gets you actual access to our in-studio camera where you can join all the funny action. You can see us gesticulating wildly and making mockeries of ourselves. You can see what I'm wearing today, which is a nice cut-off T-shirt, my basketball shorts, and no shoes because it's fucking hot. So I'm just done with today. Yes. The $5 level gets you access to all of those things as well as discounts on merchandise on the merch shop. That's geekpublicradio.com. You can find that merchandise. And then the $10 level will actually get you shouted out on the show. We'll tell everybody how effing amazing you are, as well as everything that we listed previously. And if you're local, we'll consider bringing you onto the show. You can talk about whatever you want. And if you're an idiot, we'll call you out. So that's kind of the benefit of that.
That's true.
We can cut your mic and then make fun of you mercilessly, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. So if that's something you'd want to participate in, head on over to patreon.com.
It's more fun than it sounds.
It is more fun than it sounds. Like it really is. And you can clap back, so it's okay. But patreon.com/GP Network is where you go check that out. We will be right back on Sunday Night Madness here on geekpublicradio.com.
Shall we begin?
Alrighty, we are back here, everybody, on Sunday Night Madness. I am Crazy Chris, joined with Topher and Miss Krista, our lovely research assistant. We are so happy to have you guys with us. As promised, we told you guys that at the second segment we were going to talk about a few things, and we're going to do that right now.
I guess.
We'll start off with story time with creepy Uncle Chris.
Oh, jerk off.
So I have my two boys with me, and we're going down to canoe country in Yorktown. And we get down there, and this particular one's in Daleville. It ends in Yorktown. But we get down there to good old Daleville, and we unpack everything. And I'd bought 3 tubes to go tubing down the White River. At Walmart. Walmart had they're basically big ass tire tubes that have been repurposed for inner tubes, and they're pretty awesome. They're sturdy as shit. So I'm like, all right, they're $10. I'll buy them. We're about halfway down there, and the guy calls me and he says, "Hey, they're not letting us do the float on the inner tubes because they said it'll take too long." And I'm like, "That's really fucking stupid. Like, what do you mean it'll take too long?" And they said, "Well, they said it takes like 6 or 7 hours, and they close at 6." And I'm like, "That still doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't have any of their property. I don't. What's the fucking point?"
Well, how are you going to get back to your car, though?
That's the key.
No, because the bus takes you to the drop-off point. You float back
To your cars?
to your cars.
Okay.
Oh.
So there's no, they're not necessary. Once they drop you off, they're no longer necessary. So I was like, that's really fucking dumb. Like, are they insistent about this? And he's like, yeah. And so I priced out a canoe.
Also could be a liability issue.
Yeah, it's probably a few different things, which is fine. But
Still
they don't
annoying.
own the White River, so I don't know what the fucking deal is. We talked about it later. I mean, I could have just driven down to where Yorktown, have somebody come, drive me back to, where the cars were. It would have been fine. But we ended up renting a canoe. And because I had like I said, my two boys with me, they're 11 and 8. And, we get in the canoe. We get the canoe on the river. And, I have an oar. I put my eldest son in the front. And he's a bigger boy. He's hefty, but he's tall. He's a big boy. So he gets in the front of the canoe, and I get in the back because it's balance. And I put my youngest in the middle. And he's got a paddle, but he's not really doing much. He's enjoying the ride.
Right.
He's in charge of the bag. Now we get to floating down the river, and everything's fine. The first hour and a half, 2 hours, we're fine. Well, we stop by this bridge, and they call it the jump bridge, where people will get out of the canoe or get out of their kayaks or their tubes or whatever, and they'll go up on this bridge, and it's a real deep spot in the White River. It's one of the deepest spots. And they'll jump off the bridge into the water, which, okay, that's fine. If I didn't have my children, I probably would have done that, but I have my kids. I'm not doing that shit. I don't know that that's what this bridge is. I haven't done a float down White River in for fuck all ever. All right? So last time I went on a float wasn't even the White River. I don't know shit. Nobody tells me this. So I'm paddling the fucking canoe. I go under the bridge. I got 3 or 4 people behind me, and they're, I don't know, fucking 100 feet, 200 feet back behind me, and I hear, stop. They're screaming, stop. Now, mind you, my son, and that's in the middle of this canoe, is fidgety because he's bored. He wants to lean over. He's trying to see around his brother. He's looking at the sights. He's checking out the whatever. So he's leaning in the canoe, and I've told him about 15 times, I'm like, you need to quit leaning. If you lean again, I'm going to bop you with this oar. Like, you need to quit. Not really going to hit myself with an oar. For all you fucking crazy people out there that might think that I'm abusive to my kids, I would not hit my son with an oar. I did accidentally bop him in the head with the oar, but that wasn't because he was leaning. It was because I was trying to paddle, and when I swung the canoe up over the top of him, he happened to sit up at that exact moment, and it bopped him in the head. Accidental, funny, but not as a disciplinary action. So we get under the bridge, everybody's screaming stop, and I'm trying to turn around, but again, I'm in a fucking canoe, and we're starting to hit the rapid, fast-moving water, and the canoe's starting to pick up some steam, and they're all screaming stop, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck y'all want me to do? You want me to shore it? What do you want me to do? So I put the oar in the water, and I pull the canoe back around, and I'm, put my arms up like, what do you guys want? And they're like, oh, we're all going to jump off the bridge. And I'm like, but my mom's told me about this.
I've heard. I've been schooled in this.
Heard about this particular scenario, and I'm like, well, today's the answer, I guess. I'm not jumping off the bridge. So I'm like, I got my kids. Like, I'm not jumping off the bridge, potentially injuring myself. And then my 2 kids are sitting there going, I don't know how to paddle a canoe. Where do I go?
No, they'll want to do it.
Yeah,
as
or
well.
they'll want to jump off the bridge
Then you'll have
too.
to fight them on it.
And so I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to demonstrate something to my children within reason that I'm not going to let them do.
Right.
So as I start to turn the canoe back around, because they're all and they're drinking and they're having a good time, which is fine. I don't admonish anybody for drinking and having a good time. It's the float. You're supposed to drink. I had a couple of drinks. I didn't get hammered. I'm not getting shit-faced again. Disclaimer, I have my children. I'm not fucking dumb. So, I had a couple of drinks, and this, like I said, over the course of a couple of hours, and I turned the canoe. They're screaming, "Oh, we're jump off the bridge, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, all right, you guys are fucking idiots. If I didn't have my kids, I'd do this. So I start to turn the canoe back around. Well, my youngest son is trying to figure out what they're doing, so he starts leaning in the canoe to see the people jumping off the bridge. And, of course, the canoe happened to be sideways in the current, and he leaned the direction the current was traveling. So the bottom end of the canoe came up, the river smashed in to the canoe, and just flipped us completely out of the canoe. Now, that in itself wouldn't have been a big deal. The water at that point where we were was only about 6 feet, if even that. So it wouldn't have been a huge deal. The problem was that the undertow that day was really, really bad. And on top of that, my son ninja removed his life jacket when I wasn't paying attention. My youngest took off his life jacket. I realized this as he flipped out of the canoe. So I go into full dad panic mode, which is, oh God, all of my things are in a bag in the canoe. All of my things. When I say all of them, my wallet, my phone, my keys, my shoes, my cigarettes, my lighter, everything is in this bag. And inside this bag is some plastic bags, and et cetera, et cetera. Thank Christ I did not take the air out of the plastic bags like I'm accustomed to doing to preserve freshness for these Ziploc bags. I had left the air in them this time in a hurry. I just zipped them up so they were buoyant. This will come into play. So the canoe flips. All my stuff just goes everywhere. My son goes flying out of the canoe. The water grabs a hold of him. He weighs...
Because he weighs nothing?
Yeah, he weighs 85, 90 pounds. It snatched him up like a redhead stepchild and flung him down the river. I looked up after I flipped out of the canoe. I went under. As I came up for air, he's a good 10 feet away from me already. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. So I drop down, I push off the bottom, and I rocket through the rapids. And I swim under the canoe. The canoe gets stuck on some trees, and it's kind of being bounced around, whatever. And I'm not worried about the stupid canoe. I get up behind my son, and I reach out, and I get a hold of his ear. I got a hold of this poor kid's ear. And I swear, if an outside observer is watching me, they're like, well, he's being awfully, disciplinarian right now with his child. He's just grabbing him by the ear. That's a little much. But it's the only thing I could get a fucking hold of. So I snatch him up by his ear, and he's flailing. Now, he feels me grab his head, and he reaches back and he grabs my arm. And as he does that, I can start to move my hand down. I get under his chin. Then I get under his armpit. And I'm still floating down the river, mind you. I'm still floating, but I'm holding him up out of the water. He was under the water for a good 30, 45 seconds. I just happened to see him kind of flailing, his feet kicking up in the air, and I just knew where he was. And as I reached down to grab him, and I pulled him up out of the water. So I get him up. He's coughing, sputtering. I get him hugged to me. And again, I'm still floating down the river, but I'm kind of leaning on my back and just kind of putting my feet down every once in a while, lifting him in the air, putting my feet down to push off the bottom, so that way I'm making sure I'm not hitting any branches or trees or sticks or twigs or whatever, and if I need to, I can throw him towards shore. Now, White River's only 30, 40 feet wide. It's not super wide. So it's not like the Mississippi where it's going to take you an hour to paddle to shore if you get stuck in some rapids. But it's wide enough that it's scary if you get stuck in the middle and you don't know which direction to go. So the undertow's pulling, pushing, we're fighting with it. And I'm not going to lie, I prayed. I did, straight up. I looked up, and there's no atheists in foxholes. I'm not an atheist anyway. But that's a moment of panic where I don't have a way to stop myself. My son doesn't have his life jacket on. My eldest, during this period of time, had his life jacket on. So he's floating on the top. And as I get my, he's scared. He's looking at us. He's watching us, This is a cautionary tale, people. Pay attention. It's a cautionary tale. It's not all that funny. I'm trying to make a little light of it, but it's serious. You got to pay attention to stuff like this. So my eldest, he's bouncing, he's booing in the water, because he's got his life jacket on, and I tell him, Sean, paddle to shore. Just pick a spot and go to it. Don't worry about where it's at. Don't worry about what's on the bank. Just get out of the water. So that way I know you're out of the water. I don't have to track you down. I don't think I could have held both of them. He's a big boy.
Yeah, no.
Now, granted, he's a little bit taller, so he might have been able to kind of bounce off the bottom like I was doing, and he'd been fine. They'd both taken swimming lessons and things like that, and that helped Chris, or my youngest. That helped him tremendously because he was actually able to kind of paddle his feet while I was holding on to him, so he could keep himself floating and not put as much strain on me. So as I pray, I'm reaching up, and there's just happens to be the thinnest branch I think I've ever seen in my life. It's just kind of hanging down, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I reach up, I grab it, I string the leaves right off of this thing because of how tight I'm gripping it. It's cutting my hand, and I'm holding on to it, and I hit this little knot at the bottom of the branch, and my hand sticks on it. And so I finally have something to hang on to while I'm grabbing my son, and I get my son settled, and he monkey clings to me, grabs a hold of my chest, faces me, wraps his legs around my waist, puts his arms around my head, and I'm like, okay, whatever you do, no matter what, don't let go. And so I readjust, and I get a little higher up on this branch. It gets a little thicker, and so I'm able to pull myself up. Now I'm holding myself up out of the water and just kind of letting the water take my feet, so I'm relaxed, but it's still trying to rip me off this branch. And my arm is on fire. My left arm it hurts. I'm like, this is a little much. About that point in time, I'm glad I had my feet dangling and I wasn't like bracing against the bottom or anything. About that point in time, here come the canoe. And it's under the water. I know it was the canoe because it clobbered my feet. It just thunk. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And I realize, I look around and I don't see my canoe. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my canoe. So I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I hooked my leg on the lip of the canoe and I pull the canoe up with my foot. I get it to my right hand and I curl the canoe and all the water. I pull it up out of the water. My tote bag is still in the canoe, soaking wet, but all of my stuff is gone. So I still have my bag, but there's nothing in it. I'm like, it's pretty much fucking useless. But you know what? I don't even care at this point. I get my son, I get the canoe up, and I get enough water out of it that I can get it floating on top of the water, and then I push it toward the shore where my eldest is. And I tell him, if the canoe tries to bounce away, it's fine, but if you can, just grab the tip of it. Don't try to hold it. If it pulls away from you, just let it go. I said, just hang on to it. And so he does. And I feel a towel at my feet. It's my towel. The towel wraps around my feet. I'm like, this is fun. And I reach out and this is before. I'm sorry. I apologize. I got to go back a little bit before I let go of the canoe. I had a hold of the canoe, and my life jacket was actually fastened to the canoe. His life jacket was floating down White River somewhere. Whatever. Like I watched it go while he was floating away. I was like, oh, that's fucking useless. So he, very intelligent. I'll give my son a lot of credit. He's 8 years old. I give him a lot of credit.
He handled himself very well.
He handled himself very well. Once he got a hold of me and he was monkey clinging, he handled himself with grace, aplomb, and dignity. I was just kind of stretched out between the canoe and the tree branch with my son hanging on the middle, and I pull the canoe toward me with my right hand as hard as I can, and I get it up out of the water, and I'm holding it in place, and I tell my son, get my life jacket. And so he's looking at me, and he goes, what? I'm like, it's okay, climb down my arm while I'm holding the canoe and get my life jacket. And he says, okay, Dad. And he did. He starts to kind of scale down my arm, hanging onto it like a branch, or like, and he reaches in and he's trying to get my life jacket. Well, it was fastened. And in my panic-ish, I forgot I fastened it. I thought it was just hooked on there. So he's fumbling under the water for my life jacket. It's under the water. He's fumbling for it. And I realize that he let go of my arm, and he's hanging onto the canoe. He's got his foot pushed up against the canoe and his other hand hanging onto it while he's fumbling under the water. And he unfastens my life jacket. And as soon as he gets a hold of it, grabs my arm, starts pulling himself back over to the middle of me, wraps his legs around me, and then leans back and fastens the life jacket around himself. And I'm like, good job, buddy. You know, that was a really good job. And so I kind of half pull the canoe out and get the water out. And that's about the time I let it float down. And I tell my son, I'm like, listen, I said, go ahead and let go of me. I said, I'm going to hang on to your life jacket, and you hang on to mine. I said, we're going to float to the shore, okay? And he said, okay, Dad. And there we went, right to the shore. We got up out of the water. Now, mind you this. Remember how I told you that I had 3 or 4 people behind me about 200 feet away? Yeah, they never passed me. No one ever came by. It's just me and them. So the group that was ahead of us, they were part of us. They had gone on ahead. Got concerned because nobody was coming around the bend. So they didn't know what was going on. So they come and paddle up. And at this point, debris was floating down the river. My towel, a bag, some other stuff. My shoe was on top of the water. Like, all my shit was floating down the river. A life jacket, an oar. Like, people were like, I think somebody, they figured out somebody flipped. Mm-hmm. So they turn around and they start heading back. About that point in time, I'm getting my kid up on the shore. And I'm fighting with the canoe at this point because I realize that, okay, they're safe. Now I've got to get this stupid canoe emptied of the water.
Or else it's never going to...
Or we're never getting, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere. We're never getting out of here. We'll have to hitch a ride with somebody or call the canoe country. And then, of course, I realize I don't have my phone because it's at the bottom of White River in my brain. And so I'm like, well, I'm screwed. It's cool, but we can get the canoe. And as long as we get the canoe, we can at least float somewhere that, civilization will be fine. Plus, there's a bridge 100 yards behind us. If we have to, we'll just get up, walk through the woods, go to the bridge, and wait for somebody. So here come my group that was ahead of me. They came back down, and the guy calls out to me. He's like, "Hey, Chris, I got your shoe." It was my other shoe because the one had floated up to the shore, so I knew that one was. It was
like,
my one shoe. I got one shoe. And
I lost my shoe.
He goes, "Hey man, I got your other shoe and a towel." And I'm like, neither one of those things is particularly helpful right now. I mean, if I have to walk through the woods, I'd prefer to have that so I'm not stepping on everything under the sun. But I mean, in the long run, I want my phone, my wallet, my car keys, because at this point, like I'm up literal shit creek without a paddle. For those that don't know, White River is notorious for being dirty. But anyways,
Awesome.
It got better.
They did a lot better job of it. It
You
wasn't
didn't
too
grow
bad.
3 eyes.
Not yet.
Or superpowers.
Your hair didn't fall
I know.
out.
I was waiting for my superpowers. I'm kind of pissed. I don't know, canoe man or something. I don't know. So he comes floating by
Fart
and he's
man.
like, got your. And then that one guy brings me an oar. He comes paddling back on his kayak. He's like, I got your oars, and I'm like, well, okay, now we can steer. That's something at least. So I get the canoe flipped back over, and now here come the last person in our group, and he's like, hey, I got your phone and your wallet and your car keys. And I'm kind of looking up. My kids are really super upset. Like I said, my eldest he was upset because there's nothing he could do.
Right.
Well, he's watching you and his
was
younger
helpless,
brother.
and he's watching his younger brother flounder in the water, and there's nothing he could do about it. He was upset, and so they're still trying to calm down. And I'm just telling them, and they're like, Daddy, what about all your stuff? How are we getting home? I'm like, guys, don't worry about it. We'll get home. Just you guys are safe. It's fine. And I was keeping them calm. Was I pissed off that my shit was missing? Yeah, of course I was. But I was also extremely grateful that we were alive and nobody drowned, and
Right.
I wasn't going to be murdered by my ex, and et cetera,
Or your mom.
or my mom, or any number of people. But the point was everybody was safe, and I kept telling them. I said, listen, the only thing that matters is just stuff. Everything that I lost can be replaced. Every single thing. I said I had an extra set of car keys. Everything in my wallet it's just stuff. I'm not concerned. So he come flying up and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got your wallet, your phone, your car keys." And I'm like, "All right, man, we're doing better than I expected. Like, I got both my kids. All right, that's good.
I got both shoes.
Full 100% there. Got both my shoes. I recovered one of my towels. Granted, it's soaked and won't dry anybody off, but I still have it. I won. I got my towel back. I had a baggie that had my smokes and lighter in it. I got the smoke lit, but the rest of the cigarettes were trash. Like, there was just no saving it. And I was like, well, at least I got one cigarette after this entire event where I could sit back and just chill out for a minute and have a good time. But, he comes walking out. He comes paddling up with all that stuff. And one of my really good friends, he had seen all of this kind of happen because he had turned around earlier. He was way ahead of us. So he turned around and come back earlier. He had seen us flip from down the way, and he was really upset. He was trying to come, and he was trying to figure out where everybody was. And he's like, where's everybody at? He's like, why didn't anybody come and help you? I said, well, they're all up on the bridge. And he's like, oh, is that where they are? Okay. Paddled his way over there, got up there, and just ripped them all a new asshole. And he's like, hey, hope you guys got all your fucking pictures, and hope you guys had a real good time, because while you guys were fucking off, your friend was down here with his kids, and they almost died because you guys weren't paying the fuck attention. You didn't give a shit. So, hope you got everything you needed. Congratulations, you're all a bunch of fucking dickheads. I don't begrudge any. Now, mind you, I don't begrudge anybody for having fun. I was a late addition to that group. They were all established on the river run. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew where the stops were, all that. I don't begrudge them for doing that. But when you're in a group, you don't let everybody out of the water and leave the kids in the middle. Or you don't leave the kids that were in the middle of the group, because we paced it that way on purpose. So if something happened, there would always be somebody behind me. And if I saw something ahead, I could paddle up and help them. That's, because I was in the canoe. So if somebody needed some storage, cooler, whatever, I could put it in the canoe. It's fine. So we paced it that way on purpose. And so the entire caboose of our party just dropped off. And, of course, that's the moment something strikes. To make matters worse, one of the people in our group on the behind the bend, behind the bridge, had flipped her kayak. So she was in the deep with her kayak and all her stuff. They had no idea we flipped, but she had flipped too. And so they were, trying to help her. So one or two of the four that were behind me were actually trying to help each other, help her recover her things, make sure she didn't drown, et cetera, because she's not an accomplice. She's not a very good swimmer. And so they're trying to make sure she didn't drown, not realizing that 150 feet around the corner, that, the kids are trying not to drown. So I wasn't mad at them. I wasn't really mad at anybody. It wasn't anybody's fault. They didn't do anything on purpose. But that's just the way it was. So it's just it's a cautionary tale, man. When you guys go out and you do stuff, you have fun. There's a place for fun. There's a time for fun and things like that. But just when you find yourself in a situation like that, my advice is don't panic. Like I said, I went into dad panic because I couldn't find I couldn't see my son initially. So I went into dad panic of where the fuck is my kid? But I was still able to, call out to the right people, get a hold of a tree branch, and then, circumstances worked out favorably for me. But those undercurrents, those undertows are no joke. I'm a 240-pound man. I'm not a small guy. And that river was trying to throw me around like a rag doll. Water is no joke.
You can be a professional swimmer and still drown in an undertow.
That's absolutely accurate.
You could be in 3 feet of water and an undertow can take you and kill you.
Absolutely correct. It's not a joke. Like, they tell you to be careful about certain things, and that's why they tell you. Thankfully, I came away with this, and my children we were unscathed. For the most part, we were unhurt. I got little cuts and tears on my feet, my arms, my hands, and, they're little bumps and bruises, but that's it. That's moderate compared to what could have happened. So I'm eternally grateful that was the case. But
the kids handled themselves extremely well. So
there
was a lot of praise on that.
Ridiculously proud of me. I know everybody, every father, every mom. Oh my God, my kids are so smart. Look at my 2-year-old. He knows math.
Well, being smart or whatever is fine, but being able to handle yourself as well as they did
at a crisis,
yeah,
because that's what it was.
I mean, they were shocked, they were upset, but that's understandable. They still did exactly what they needed to do to be safe.
They did, and they listened. They weren't, screaming. And I think some of that probably has to do with trust, because Chris trusted me. He knew I wasn't going to let him go. Yeah. And that's a big part of it, too. So for all you parents out there that treat your kids like fucking dickheads, find yourself in a situation like that where your kid doesn't trust you because you beat their ass all the time. There you go. That's why they tell you not to do that shit. When you constantly beat your child and they're scared of you, they don't fucking trust you.
Oh, you mean Well, you're saying beat then. Like, of course you're not going to trust the person that abuses them.
No, I said for all you parents out there that beat your fucking kids and you find yourself in a situation like that.
Yeah.
That
Are you talking
trust-
about people that
trust
like
is a
spank
big-
their kids all the time?
No.
Or are you
No.
talking about actual
Bullshit.
abusive
I'm
parents?
talking about abusive pieces
Okay.
of fucking shit. I'm all about a spanking every now and then, but I draw the line of fucking abuse. It takes a special kind of piece of shit to do that to your kid.
Well,
But
they're probably not going to care if they're in that situation.
anyways, so that's my cautionary tale, man. Just pay the fuck attention to what y'all are doing. I know I'm not trying to give a sad sob story or anything like that. It's not really all that funny. It's just a warning. Like, I've been on water a lot. I really have. I've never had a severe issue like that. I was 12 years old last time that happened, but I've never had a severe issue like that. It's always been my safety that was at risk, and this time it was somebody else's. And it's a scary feeling. I'm not gonna lie, it's a scary feeling. All right, so that'll bring us to our second break here. We'll pardon me, I'm burping in the microphone because this Rolling Rock is fire. Anyways, go to patreon.com/GP Network if you want to support us in a monetary way. $2, $5, $10 donation levels. We really appreciate that. Thank everybody out there for listening. We will be right back on Sunday Night Madness.
Shall we begin?
All right, we are back. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties there. We managed to get everything fucking sorted out.
Okay.
By technical difficulties, we mean that we were fucking off and not paying the goddamn lick of attention to what we were doing. That sounds about fucking average for this show. Ow, I just kneed the table really hard, and that kind of hurt. I'm surprised I didn't knock shit over. But yeah, so anyways, like I said, that was cautionary tale after that second break there, the second segment. And so now I'm gonna jump into the Ariel business. This is something that I saw, and it made me laugh when I saw it because I saw the outrage at the outrage, and like you said, that's all I fucking saw. And I have a pretty decent number of friends on my list, and they don't all share the same viewpoints. So I expected to see some,
What people would be outraged.
Yeah, some fucking conflicting opinion, at least.
I even scoured Twitter.
I looked at Twitter. I found it on Twitter, but I also backtracked it, and those are bots. So
Yeah.
there's that. But that's neither here nor there. I'm a conspiracy theorist or some shit, whatever. I've told people that. I'm like, they were bots. No, they're not. I'm like, here's my site. Here's the fucking citation. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Okay, what the okay, I'm done. I did
It's manufactured outrage that they bought.
There you go. It's manufactured outrage, and it's Disney trying to fucking draw interest. And I'm sorry, whatever, but it's fucking pandering. Kiss my ass. That's what it is. It's pandering. When you take an existing character and you alter its skin color, especially in this environment, especially in the current fucking environment, or its sex, you are going
or sexual
to
orientation.
create. It's pandering.
Right, but here's the thing is they did it thinking, okay, well, this will spark something, and when it didn't happen, they created it.
Yes, 100%.
And, because I challenged, we talked about it on Pipe Creek's Courageous Conversations with Mo.
Right.
Actually, I think we talked about it after the show, but it was one of the things that they brought up, and I was like, you need to be careful, like, look into that, because I have yet to still see a single thing that is credible, like some, whatever, and I said, they're using this as a way to say, if it fails, if nobody goes sees it, this is why.
This is why. And if
they learned from
you don't think that
Ghostbusters.
Hollywood, exactly, they did the same thing with Ghostbusters. They just
at least with that,
it.
they deleted all the anything that didn't fit their narrative.
Yeah.
They deleted and just kept all the hate and whatever. And some of that was true. Yeah, people didn't like it because they changed the thing. Yada yada yada. Like I said from the beginning, I think a reboot was stupid. I think that if you wanted to do it like the daughters of or like the family members of came and were inheriting the thing, and no fresh story. Not a rehash of the original story with bad CGI.
Bad CGI, shit fucking writing. I mean, Harold Ramis is gone. And I don't think Dan Aykroyd had much input on this one either, did he?
He just showed up.
Okay.
Like Aykroyd, I actually sent him, like, I made a campaign of getting him whatever, because he was on a thing talking about anybody who dislikes, the girls are funny, yada yada yada. Anybody who dislikes it is just a sexist man living in his parents' basement, yada yada yada, and doesn't know anything, and he needs to grow up, and this, that, and the other. Like, totally reaming people's asses.
That's a little much, Dan.
But what's fun, and so I started collecting links of females who were disappointed in it, who didn't like it, had valid critiques, and this, that, and the other, and I sent him like this big long list of all of these links, and it said, "You sexist pig! How dare you just discount their voices?"
Right, and that's the thing.
And that's the thing that nobody thinks about.
No, there's a lot of people that do think about that stuff, but this is the thing. It's the squeaky wheel ggets the grease type fucking scenario where people fucking bitch about stuff, and then they get their way.
Right, but you can't deride other people for sexist.
Squeak.
You can't deride people as being sexist while being sexist.
Well, yes, you can, because
Sonic
it's the
was
paradox
terrible,
of
and they had
tolerance.
to change him.
What?
And Sonic was terrible; they had to change him.
Sonic was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I know that, jackass.
They do need to fix it.
You were saying that they
did fix it. They
Yes.
went through and redid all the animation.
and they delayed the
Yeah,
the
but
release.
it still looked retarded as shit.
Does it really? I haven't seen the new one.
Like the animation stuff looks better, but it's still retarded as shit. I think anytime you take anything like cartoony and try to turn it into a live action thing is dumb to begin with.
I've heard Aladdin is good. In fairness, I've
I
heard
don't know. I won't go watch it. You know why? I've already seen it.
3 times. 3 fucking times I've seen Aladdin. I don't need to see it again.
It's like, I'm not really interested. Will Smith doing whatever, yeah, that's him, I guess. I don't know. Like, good.
Right.
I'm a Will Smith
I
fan.
didn't have a
but
problem with it.
I
honestly.
don't care. Like, I'm not going to watch Aladdin.
Agreed.
I'm not going to watch Lion King. I already seen that story.
Well, what was funny is that it's a live action Lion King, and I was like,
It's all CGI.
yeah, I was like, that's
Still
not
animation.
what live action means.
It's still animation.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so this push to like live action of the cartoons, I don't really care.
Yeah, there's exceptions to that. Like, I'd like to see a live action Invader Zim because I think it'd be fucking funny. I do. It just,
No.
I think
No.
it'd be funny.
You can do way more in a cartoon than you can.
To a point, I
I
agree with
can't
what you're saying.
imagine
but
live
there's certain
action
things
that and have it be anywhere near.
No, because there'd be protests saying that he's racist or sexist or something.
Oh yeah, he was xenophobe. The literal definition of fucking xenophobe. But yeah, so this outrage about Ariel. Here's my 2 cents. I don't really fucking care what color she is. Nerdy guys will still beat off to her, I'm sure. So it's fucking irrelevant. It's dumb as shit. I don't know who Halle Berry is.
I had to do a double take. I was like, they're going to put Halle Berry as Ariel?
There's a few people that have made that mistake, and that's actually been funnier to me than the fucking manufactured outrage bullshit.
Well, because I really don't care. So I was like, Halle Berry's Ariel?
Right,
Okay.
she's a little old. I mean, she's beautiful, but
Right,
I mean,
it was like, I thought it was like a teenage girl thing.
right. That's a bit much, but okay. But no, it's Haley.
I'm
Haley
16
Berry.
years old. I'm not a child anymore.
Right, bitch. You know you're an adult.
Yes,
by the way,
you are.
You know you're an adult when you're watching Little Mermaid with your kids, and she pops off to her dad, and you're like,
I'd smack her.
"Wait a minute, bitch! Hold up! Yes, you are. Shut the hell! You get your ass back in your
Fuck you
room."
are.
But
It's like,
I don't care what
What you
color she
thinking?
is. And there's people that are like, well, she's a fish, she's translucent. I'm like, first of all, she's a fucking mermaid. No, they're not. But like,
Well, the
mermaids
actual-
are mythological creatures.
right, but if you read the original story that it was all based off of, skin color is the last thing that you need to worry about.
Yes. No, I
'Cause it-
completely agree with you. Hans
wasn't- it
Christian
wasn't
didn't
a-
write that fucking shit for.
It wasn't a pleasant story.
No, it wasn't. It was the. It was the epitome of the grass is not fucking greener on the other side. It's about forbidden. There are some things that are forbidden for a reason, and this is basically everything that her father fucking told her was true. And then because she didn't fucking listen, she paid the ultimate price. And that's what it was. A cautionary tale of listen to your fucking parents. They know more than you.
I wonder if the Blackfish is going to be in the...
No, but I actually do expect to see an appearance from Kanye. If I don't see a Kanye West cameo, I'm going to be really upset.
Him walking in and going, excuse me, I want to let you finish.
No. I want him to walk in there and be like, I'm a motherfucking gay fish. Because he likes fish sticks in his mouth. So he's a gay fish. Nobody. There's like 5 people that are listening that might have gotten that reference. But at the end of that episode, he turned into a mermaid. And so that's why I think it'd be funny to have a Kanye West appearance with him in a mermaid costume that he can laugh at himself. But we both know he's too self-absorbed to fucking do that. So, but yeah, so as far as Ariel being fucking black or white or fucking...
It doesn't
if anything,
matter.
she's Greek. She's Mediterranean. Because that's the fucking origin of the mermaids was, Mediterranean.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but it was a Norwegian story. So, I mean...
But no, the story of the Little Mermaid is Norwegian, but I'm saying the mythology of a fucking mermaid is
right.
Is in the Mediterranean. It was Greek or
I honestly think that people... Because, like, I heard something today, it was like, because they were saying, like, well, it's... European because there's princes and this, that, and the other, but it's also a Caribbean culture where, if you listen into the songs and the Under the Sea is more of a Caribbean thing. It's like a meeting of the cultures and this, that, and the other. And I was like, you think way too much about this shit.
Well, right? First of all, it was only Caribbean because for some fucking reason, Sebastian the Crab was Jamaican.
Right.
And 2 things are wrong with that. Number 1, that's fucking stupid. Number 2...
It didn't work well with Jar Jar.
Well, exactly. And number fucking 2, crabs are only red when they're cooked.
Right.
So Sebastian was dead the whole time.
Well,
And
So
Ariel,
he was
Ariel
a
was high
zombie.
as fuck.
So he was a zombie crab.
Zombie crab, or he was
they
not.
also put
He did not
dildos
exist.
on their palaces, so whatever.
I mean, there's that. They did have a dildos hanging out their palace, fucking, because Disney animators are some sick sons of bitches. They sneak all kinds of shit in their fucking movies.
They all do that. Every animator does that.
But anyways,
well, the question being
we're all fucking 5 years old. Like,
Yeah.
dick and fart jokes.
Right. Well, the question being, because people are like, you're like, oh my god, like this happened and yada yada yada, and it's like, oh my god, I don't really. Yeah, somebody has a huge stomach, so when they sit, that pushes pressure on this, so that's loose right now. I got to get in and tighten everything up.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what did I do?
I've said that about a few people. Gotta get in there and tighten that up.
Well, I think my concern is she looks like she's 50 in this picture that I'm looking at.
Oh, Haley Berry?
Yeah, Bailey. Haley Bailey.
Oh, it's Halle Bailey.
Bailey.
I thought it was Haley. I thought it was Haley Berry. I'm sorry.
No, it's Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey. That's even fucking worse.
She's 19.
Exactly. Like I said,
And she
nerds
looks
will
like
jerk off
she's
to
like
this. It's
50
fucking
in
irrelevant.
this photo. It's a horrible dress.
That happens a lot.
It does. It's fucking. It's
It
Hollywood
makes it
fluff
like they weigh
and filler.
15
But
But then somebody was talking about like there was no. They're like, well, where's the representation for minority, whatever people bring out like, okay, well, you got what's her name from Aladdin. You have like all you start to see more, coming out, and then somebody said Pocahontas, and they said, well, that was way over sexualized. I'm like, who thinks of that when you're a child? Like, how is that an over sexualized character?
I've never looked at the story. The true story of Pocahontas was
right, but the Disney version
was pedophilia. But
the Disney version of it was kind of like, and it's like I'm looking at it going like, how is that an over sexualized character? The only people who over sexualize it are people who were
she was
thinking
probably wearing more than they actually wore.
right.
That's legit
Oops,
though. That's
sorry.
legitimate.
So I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, that just makes that argument right there just makes me question the
sanity of any
it
argument
was like
you make from
it was
this
like
point
an
forward.
over sexualized
Right.
character. It was like I didn't see the sexuality of that character.
I didn't
other
either.
than
I wanted her hair.
So like if you're thinking about the sexuality of cartoon characters, then get off Reddit, get off of 4chan.
The top 10
because-
Seek
cartoon
some
porn
therapy.
searches, by the way, was released recently, and that was actually pretty fucking funny. Come to find out, the Invisible, or what was there, Elastigirl, is one of the top fucking searches for fucking
Like I said,
cartoon porn.
Get off 4chan. Get off Reddit. You do not need to be on the internet at all. Go away.
And also, please, for right now, don't breed. I'd appreciate it. Not that I'm really worried about it if you're looking up Elastigirl porn, but
The only time I've ever done anything like that was Rule 34ing something. Because I didn't.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's normally for a show on this damn network.
It always fucking is.
Someone's like, "Oh, it'd
By
take
the way,
you longer to
it's-
do that than it would take find Smurf porn." And somebody started talking, and I literally typed in whatever, and then had
Smurf porn.
had a naked picture of a Smurfette. And they're like, "Oh, you already had that, didn't you?"
He did it for the show.
And I was like trying to explain, like, all you have to do is type in Smurfette Rule 34, and then you get a picture.
Right.
And
Rule 34 for anybody who's wondering is if you can think of it, there's probably a porn of it.
Isn't 36 when they swap sexes?
And Rule 35 is if there isn't something like that, there will be.
Right. And then Rule 36 should be, I'm not sure what it actually is, but Rule 36 is should be if there isn't porn for it and there's nobody making porn for it, then you should probably stop searching for it. And their 37 should be, but if you continue along this line of thinking, then go ahead and just make the porn and become a millionaire. I like that. But anyways.
Apparently, Rule 36 is anonymous, does not forgive.
No, it's
Except
like
this-
Rule 34, there's porn of it. Rule 35, the exception to the Rule 34 is the citation of Rule 34. So there is no Rule 34 porn.
Oh, okay, right.
So 36 is anonymous, does not forgive. 37, there's no girls on the internet.
I fucking forgot about that.
If they say they're a girl, they're a guy.
If they want you to Venmo them $400 for naked pictures, you are not getting naked pictures, I promise.
Well, then you may, but they're not of them.
Also, you shouldn't be Venmoing anybody money for naked pictures when Pornhub is free.
A cat is fine too. One cat leads to another. I'm just going down the list.
Oh, okay.
Rule 40. Another cat leads to Zippo cat. Rule 41. Everything is someone's sexual fetish. 42. It is delicious cake. You must eat it. 43. A delicious trap. You must hit it. 44. B sucks today. 4chan.
Right.
Rule 45. Cock goes in here. 46. They will not bring back snacks.
Oh, that's bullshit. They do that's bullshit.
Rule 47. You will never have sex. Rule 48. Question mark. Rule 49. Profit.
All right.
Rule 50. You cannot divide by 0.
That's false. That's unequivocally false.
Oh, it's 63. That's what I'm thinking of.
What was
Swap the sexes.
For every given male character, there's a female version of that character. For every given female character, there's a male version of that character.
All right. Fair enough. Anyways.
I had the right numbers. They were just backwards.
You did, actually. Yeah, it's accurate. So that's my take on the whole Ariel thing is who gives a rat's fucking ass? Disney is pandering to a specific fucking niche market, manufacturing outrage to generate interest for the movie. In case it flops, they have a fucking excuse. It's real simple fucking economics. It's real simple shit, and Hollywood's been doing it for years. If it fucking fails, blame somebody else.
I don't
The
care.
end.
I'm probably not going to watch it anyway.
Right, like,
I love Disney, but I like their animated stuff. I don't care about this live action
right.
stuff that's
It's
happening.
fucking stupid. It's like
Like
Buena
the
Vista
live
Pictures
action
went under
Lion
for a
King.
reason.
I'm sorry, that's
And
not
it-
live action.
and
It
it-
is freaking animated with CGI, and that's it.
And if there is real outrage, you need to look at, if there really is a pushback for something, i.e. the Ghostbusters, you need to look at not what they're telling you. It's the same with the having a female Doctor Who.
Right.
Like, there was supposedly the only outrage was male fans saying that, the Doctor Who was all... No, there was more women who came out against a female Doctor Who than there were that came out... men that came out against the female Doctor Who, but because it was just women, that's not a story.
Yeah.
Those voices were completely silenced.
Well, there aren't any women on the internet.
Well, there we go. Hey, that's actually. Oh my God, they're following the rules. We're not. Son of a bitch.
So what I'm saying is you
Nice.
can't deride
Nice plug,
somebody
by the way.
as a being sexist if you're being sexist by avoiding, by trying to make your point.
Wait, but if there are no females on the internet, you're not technically arguing with a female. Thereby, you cannot be sexist.
What's funny is like
And you can't be guilty of mansplaining either.
90% of the time, it's not the women who are mad. It's men who are mad that you're being sexist against women, while they're being sexist and leaving out the voices of the women. Who are
right.
just
White knight syndrome is real, and there's too many motherfuckers.
Oh my
Keyboard
God,
warriors
social-
are my favorite.
yes,
But
the
anyways,
social justice
we're gonna take our third break here. But yeah, so again, the whole Ariel situation, literally, who gives a rat's fucking ass? Hollywood's just trying to make a fucking buck and trying to get people fired up for their new movie, and if it fucking flops, they can blame everybody but themselves for making a shit fucking movie again. Right. Anyways, so we'll be right back here at Geek Public Radio. While we're on break, go ahead and check out patreon.com/GP Network and consider donating to us if you like what we have to say. Consider donating to us in a monetary way at the $2, $5, $10 level. $2, buy me a beer. $5 is buy me a shot. And $10 is
White Girl Wasted!
all right, we'll be right back here on Sunday Night Madness. This is GeekPublicRadio.com. All right, everybody, we are back on Sunday Night Madness, and as REM put it, Ariel being black is the fucking end of the world. This is what brought about the apocalypse, people. The racism.
It's the
The
Tupacalypse.
misogyny.
It's the Tupacalypse.
I'm more pissed off that she's not a man. Why couldn't she be a black man? This is bullshit.
They're sexist.
Enough representation in fucking Hollywood. So,
Idris Elba would have ruled in that.
oh my God. Actually, seriously, though, that's kind of fucking badass. I kind of want to do that. An all-male mermaid movie with Aquaman.
Are they going to do it opposite, like Family Guy?
Right? Yes. Yes, they will. So, speaking of Aquaman, that's just nothing to do with Aquaman. It's just fucking...
Aqua?
We're terrible at driving really slowly off...
Aquanet.
Aquanet.
He's so hot.
Aquaman has nothing to do with the next segment, but I just talking about we're bad at driving really slowly off of
I'm
cliffs.
sorry,
and
Jason
killing ourselves.
Momoa is so fucking hot.
Jason Momoa to me looks dirty. He looks like he needs a shower. And
So is Johnny Depp the pirate, but whatever.
like I totally agree. Like there are people who are
I'd let him touch my butthole once.
that
Oh my God.
there are people out there who I look at and people are like, "Oh my God, they're so hot," and I'm like, they need a shower. They need to stop being like jerks to people.
I've heard Momoa's not a jerk, though.
I don't know. Every time I see him like do something that's funny, whatever, like he literally beat the crap out of Fallon with water.
How do you even do that?
No, like it wasn't.
Did he use a fire hose or something?
No, like the game was if this happened, whatever, and the other person did whatever, you can splash them with water. He straight up threw fastball water. Like it was like it hit him, and Fallon like literally it hurt him. You can see it in his face that he was uncomfortable with the whole situation.
Was he like mad at him, or was
No,
he
was just trying to be and they were like ha 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 ha.
I can't.
Boosh. And I mean, I'm talking about like
Well, he's a strong
wind
motherfucker.
up in the pitch, and the stuff hit him at 30, 40 mile an hour in the face.
I'm
like,
not a big fan of Jimmy Fallon. He looks like a foot. I can't fucking stand his ass. But
Does he look like a potato?
no,
that's Kimmel.
That's thank you. Kimmel looks like a foot.
But
Fallon's actually pretty funny.
But no, like so I'm sitting here watching. My wife's like, "Oh, this is so funny, ha ha ha!" They're having a good time. I'm looking at like there's panic in his eyes at how hard the water is like shooting into his face, and like to Momoa, like he's going splash, like just like this.
Yeah.
Momoa stands up, grabs the thing, and like cocks back like he's a major league pitcher, and just bloosh right in the dude. Like, and I'm like.
Ow.
Up his nose, and he's like drowning, but he's trying to be professional. And that's just like on the. And then of course, if you take a picture with him and your girlfriend, he's always pushing you out of the picture. You know, he's joking. I'm taking.
But that's funny.
A lot of the guys do that.
It's a joke. It's whatever. But that
I'd be game for it.
It's like, you know, it just builds. Like, I always thought he was fun until the Fallon thing, and I was like,
now,
he's kind of a bully.
See, I would troll him back. We're going to get into the other segment, but I would troll him back.
He's kind of a bully. You know,
I'd take the picture, right? And I'd let him be pushing me out of the way, and I would kind of stand behind him. But behind him, I'd be holding a sign that says, "That's okay, I fucked his wife." So when he sees the picture, he's going to go, "Bro," and I'd be like, "Hey, you shouldn't have pushed me out of the picture, dickhead."
Well, no, like the picture of like him like cuddled up and like pushing whatever, I'd lick his hand.
Or something like that's cool. He's still touching me. I have a boner.
But
I would
no,
troll
like
him
I said,
back. Is the point?
Well, I'm saying is you know, I don't know what it is. And I'm talking about not like
sounds
here
like
recently.
you're intimidated.
I'm not talking about like here recently. I'm talking about like back at like Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah.
Back to what was it when he was on not Farscape but the other one, Andromeda.
Yeah,
he's always had the. It was him and Johnny Depp always seemed like they needed to take a bath.
So speaking of taking a bath, this is actually a good segue. We're going to talk about gamers for a second because this whole manufactured outrage thing. So I need to clarify from something from the second segment, just really quick. Racism is real.
Yes.
Nobody's fucking denying that racism is real.
What?
Sexism is also fucking real. No one is denying that sexism exists.
But if you're profiting off of fake outrage,
ding, 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 ding.
If you're pushing it and saying it is when you know there is no evidence of, that's completely suspect. And I'm suspect of any corporation that comes out or film director who comes out because people don't like my movies, and I could come out with all sorts of reasons why the people who don't like my movies are all sorts of names,
racist and sexist and misogynist and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Blah. So gamer culture. All right, y'all need to calm the fuck down. I have experiences with this. I think Chris does too.
Here's my problem, okay? When you're creating content, this is just like right off the bat. When you're creating content and coming up with games, and this, I found it because I am a member of the Dungeons and Dragons storytellers thing on Facebook. That's got like hundreds of thousands of people, whatever, and people ask questions, and they have rules, and they say no talking about certain topics, and which I'm like, do people not have these topics in their games? First off,
right.
Like, you can't talk about slavery or whatever when you're looking at orcs and this, that, and the other, and like how that would tie in because it may trigger someone. Which
I get that in a public forum, but I feel like there needs to be a private discussion with that.
Like the question.
I feel like you should be able to have a private discussion with somebody. How would you do this in a couth way that doesn't offend anybody? When
you're sitting here running a game for people and you literally put the problems of racism and all this other stuff in the game in a manner in which they can see it and they start to get upset, they're into the story. They're actually tied into the story.
Yeah, they're engaged.
So when the resolution happens and they win, there's more of a connection to the thing,
right? And and I agree with that because they're more satisfied if you do that with.
But this idea of it may hurt people, so we don't talk about it.
I don't agree with that. There are lines to that rule, and
walk away if you don't want to talk about it.
But no, hold on. In a public space, like Chris is talking about, in this public space, I agree that should be the rule. That should be. No one should just be blatantly bringing up this fucking topic because it may, in fact, the backlash of bringing that up would far outweigh the benefit of the conversation. It just would.
Because
and that's the reality of where we live.
Here's the example of what I was trying. Because I go there and get ideas. I don't ever post anything because the games that I run would immediately get me banned and whatever. So
the fuck are you doing over there?
Apparently everything that you're not supposed to, but Players
with
love it.
racism in my games.
But, so the game that I was running is you are various races of demi-human, human. You got like elves and dwarves and all these races. They're in a land that hasn't known war in like the last evil thing. It was put down and it was living in like 100 some years ago, and like peace reigns. And there's somebody creeping in trying to bring evil back in by a totalitarian regime who wants to end all non-humans. Like that is they're putting dwarves and elves in concentration camps. They're developing guns and whatnot and mechanized machines using gnomes as slave labor to develop these things. And
I hate them already.
Right, and that's
I haven't even played this game. I already hate this totalitarian. Let's take them the fuck down.
Right, and
I'm already into it.
And that's the thing. And nobody really knows about it until the PCs start getting attacked. They get attacked in an airship on the way as they cross the desert, and then come to find out that in the middle of the desert is this one of their strongholds where they're developing, think mechs,
right?
But designed by gnomes with clockworks and steam and
like a clockwork golem, but it's powered by a person. It's literally operated by a person.
5th edition or whatever, like you like almost steam forged stuff, but people actually pilot instead of
an automaton.
Right. Instead of like something with a soul.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like similar to like what a clockwork golem would look like. It's got the machinery.
Well, no, like I straight up like they look like I merged Rifts with D&D.
Oh, okay.
And took the coalition, and this group started the coalition on this planet. So you're running around with clockwork skelebats,
nice,
and people in dead boy armor, and like they're like, how do we touch them? Like we can't hit these guys. They got like ACs 30 or of like 29 and 30. We're level 5.
Well, then you should probably stop trying to hit them.
Well, they found out that touch attacks are really, really cool. If you're on board an airship, you can grab them and throw them off the ship.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, there's a way around. And, of course, they were upset, like, oh, we can't hit them. Then they cleaned the deck, and I was like, see? I made you think.
Yeah, there's always a solution. There are rare circumstances where I will ever railroad my party into an unwinnable scenario. A lot of times I just let them walk into those.
Right.
I'm like, I gave you warnings.
But they weren't in danger of being killed or anything, but they were being hijacked by a superior force.
Right.
And that was their introduction to things that they didn't know.
Right.
So like, once the dwarves got a hold of the guns, they started taking them apart and finding out how they worked and building rudimentary ones.
Right. Blunderbuss.
Right. So that was them being able to, and then I introduced a gunslinger character that was from there, like the Finn type character. Like he was there, and then he decided this is retarded.
But he took some shit with him,
and yeah, so he's walking around, and so it made it fun for them. But that's topics that I couldn't talk about in this group. I'm like, there's a lot of value to having a story that engages you on multiple levels.
There's literally fucking Rangers literally have a class guild called Racial Hatred.
Right. But it's always towards like trolls or goblins.
No, literally. I mean, it's specifically about humanoid race or humanoids, human race. There's elves. There's all kinds of stuff that they can actually, favorite class. I'm sorry. I think not favorite class. I think it's called favored enemy or favorite.
In 3.5 like and beyond. But it was still a
racial bias.
It was a racial hatred in earlier ones. But no, so like you get a bonus to fighting those because they need to be destroyed.
Right.
Goblins.
Dwarves have always hated. That's part of the fucking mythos of dwarves and elves. They've always hated each other. Like, fuck you, you right. 2 foot tall ankle biter.
So
Screw
here I am.
You slender bean pole bitch.
Here's like I went as far as like, so there's dwarves, elves, humans, gnomes, and stuff like all in this party. Okay, and they're trying to figure out how to squash. Like these people have like the last bastion of they have there's a stronghold in the mountains,
right?
And they're taking in Bedouins from the thing, and agents slip in and start firming descent and this, that, and the other, and try and give them a chance to feel, because a lot of Caucasians in our group, give them a chance to feel what it's like to be on the receiving end of hatred, and somebody manufacturing the hatred in order to build something to take it, a stronghold down from the inside.
Right.
And others came up like they were on top of their game. They did everything they could. Then we had a couple players who totally missed the conversation and executed people live on stage. Because they were, there's like, if you come in here with this bigotry and race, yada yada yada, we'll just kill you. And it's like, okay, that's a good strong statement to send. However, you just made the people who were on the fence start looking at you like, okay, am I going to be killed just because I'm me?
Right.
So that's my. All my players really
they were crossing into fascism.
All my players really enjoyed the thing and they really had a good time doing it. I'm giving that example. They won, by the way. They finally took down the extreme thing.
Nice.
I got to throw in some a little bit of play stuff that at the end of it. Thanks to Brad King and Muncie for the rules for. One of them died in the main. Everybody but one person died in the last battle, taking down the big guy.
Right.
But they have resurrections and whatnot, so it wasn't a permanent death.
It wasn't a TPK. It was just more of a
right.
This sucks, but you can come back. Something
right. I was playing along the lines of like as this one character who I literally before the game started, I said, everybody. I put my hands behind my back and I said, give me a number between 1 and 10. And they all gave me, and one guy got it on the nose. So he started getting weird feelings when he ran across certain people. Like the hairs on the back of his neck and this and the other. And then after everything, and he died and everything went, and he woke up on the middle of the ship on their way back. And I said, well, no, you sit up. Like, all your stuff is there. You sat in the other, and, like, you're prepared like you were, being stored to taken back to the thing. And he's like, what do you mean? He was like, you were dead. And he's like, where's my stuff? Yada, yada, yada. And, like, I said, hold on. I said, so you wake up, and then I play, Who Wants to Live Forever? Because I now have the rules, thanks to Brad, for Highlanders in 3.5.
Nice.
So I tied that in, and the last guy, and it was the hint because when they defeated the last guy, the one dwarf swung his axe and decapitated him, and like the quickening went off.
Nice,
but nobody was there to receive it, so it just kind of dissipated and whatnot. So, like, he's like, "What is this?" And then when he woke up, everybody looked at me and went, "Oh, that's horse shit."
Goddamn writing cop-outs.
But so the but I tell that story because one, it was a really good fun campaign for me and my players. Two, it kind of ties into the White Wolf situation.
God,
where people got upset because they had a Nazi character.
Yes,
and it's not that he was an active. It was a Nosferatu who was alive back during, World
War II,
and was a Nazi, and then came out of it. He was still a Nosferatu. He's still a vampire. He's doing. These are character backgrounds in a world that
spans centuries.
Yeah, so you're looking
at thousands of generations.
So you're looking at like all of the tapestry that is the history of the world. Things get plugged into. If you can't have, they weren't celebrating. I read the stuff on a character. It wasn't promoting those ideas. It was just that was the character. when does it, coming up with like cool ideas and this, that, and the other, when is it going to be like game companies stop producing games or interesting games?
Well,
because somebody's always going to be offended at something, and like people being fired and whatnot because of it. Like White Wolf completely lost control of its IP. Parallax or whatever the company that owns it, completely took it away from them and handed it to Modifius. I shit you not. Modifius is now in charge of Vampire 5th Edition. It's not even White Wolf that's doing it.
I'm not surprised. White Wolf has mishandled that shit for the last fucking 10 years.
Well, White Wolf hasn't been White Wolf. Like, if you watch, because it was, they went under and started...
Twice.
Well, they were going under when they let go of Mark Reinhagen.
Yeah.
He actually came back from overseas running LARPs and all this stuff for the company to the LA office, and come to find out that they laid off the entire LA office and him because they couldn't. Then the book sales went down. Like, they didn't have the money coming in anymore. They were the best-selling game forever. You're looking at like 70,000 copies of one book sold.
Right.
Like they're even when the rest of the industry was declining, they hadn't felt it yet. So they were adding and doing all this stuff, and they were the rock stars. And then that happened, and then everybody, they let Mark go, and then they let And
well, just real quick though, don't dismiss the fact that this is also this whole process when they closed the LA office and their book sales began to decline. This was the rise of the digital market,
right?
Where PDFs became people were fucking taking their
but
books.
You're still making money off of the PDFs, depending on how you do it. But here's it's also the rise of the digital market because they, as a way to survive, partnered with CCP. Out of Norway or Iceland and something like that. Yeah. The video game designers who did EVE Online.
Right.
They were going to do a big Bloodlines MMO. It had everything geared up. That was their plan. The company sold over to them. They kept on who they could and started pumping millions of dollars into the development of stuff. You had Vampire D20 or 20th anniversary stuff came out.
Yep.
And it was a huge event in Louisiana, in New Orleans. Like, they had this big event going on. There's all this interest, and they announced that they were doing this thing, and there's all this stuff. And then EVE Online started to suffer. The money just started disappearing, and so they canceled the MMO.
Yep.
And they fired everybody from White Wolf. And it went away.
That's usually what happens.
And Parallax came in, bought properties and whatnot, and bought the White Wolf properties, and decided to bring out 5th edition.
All right. And there's also Bloodlines 2. That's coming out.
So they pulled in and reformed White Wolf and said, okay, here's the, but it's all overseas now. It wasn't, when they bought it, it's no longer headquartered in the United States. It's in, I think White Wolf was in Germany, or I think.
To be honest with you, I haven't kept up on this shit at this point.
Well, no, because
the property kept switching back and forth so many fucking times, and I haven't played Vampire in fuck all ever.
I was excited with 5th edition because they were bringing back, they said Gehenna was just a plot, a ploy, yada, yada, yada. They seemed to completely get rid of Requiem.
Which
and
is great.
Just go back to Masquerade and bring it out as it was a plot, ploy, whatever. So you still have Thin Bloods, you still have this, you still have that, it was just
antediluvians are a thing, and
yes. So there's I was excited, and then they did us dirty at Gen Con by we were going to have this big thing. We had all these tickets sold, and then the last minute. 5 minutes before we walked in, they canceled.
Yeah.
And we people walked in and I said, "We're sorry, we're not able to do yada yada yada," and they turned around and walked away.
Yeah,
like we had 7 people out of a sold out show.
Yeah,
because so there's that. Like we were never gonna work. We were never gonna do anything with them ever again, and we were very vocal about it. But then, of course, then right after that came out, like the whole there's a Nazi sympathizer writing the background for this thing, and this, that, and the other, and like people protesting, and all this stuff went on, and it went to Modifius. Modifius is our dogs. Like I love Octung Cthulhu. I love. Like they love that we love the stuff, and we always talk about it. So like they give us whatever we want. Really, like I'd like to playtest that. Okay, here,
right.
You know,
shout out to Modifius. What's up?
Yeah, Modifius is awesome. But you know, it's still that thing of like how much can like. There's going to be a point where you're
not allowed to fucking talk about anything because everything's fucking taboo,
right? You know, and you know,
what I want to know is what happened to the redemption. What happened to the possibility of redemption? What happened to that? I have a fucking newsflash for people listening to this show. If you are not already aware of this, historically speaking, a lot of the Nazi scientists that developed those fucking weapons that were tested on the Jews during in those concentration camps. A lot of those fucking Nazi scientists were recruited to the United States, where we were able to fucking invent things like the microwave, the fucking rocket. Project Paperclip is what it was known as. It's fucking declassified. Look it up. Google it. It's worth a fucking Google. I'm telling you. You'll learn some very interesting shit. The fact that they weren't 100% sure that was Hitler that got fucking killed.
Right.
We have to make sure we punish their current generation. It's a lot.
Right. Let's just talk about reparations. Let's just punish fucking everybody because nobody's fucking innocent. Because I promise you, if you go back in your culture at any point in time, you will find fucking violence of some variety. Not a single culture in the history of existence has ever been fucking fully peaceful.
I think I made T. I think I made T mad that one day. Because we were talking about Britain and whatnot, and I said something about, so like their actions in the Congo and whatnot was totally.
Oh no, she's perfectly aware that Britain is not a fucking. She's born here. I mean, you know.
But you know what I'm saying? I was just like, like machine gunning down Zulus. Like machine gunning, Gatling gunning down Zulus because, they want the diamonds.
Right. But that blood diamond is a whole different subject altogether. But that kind of just that's a good segue.
But like I said, before we move too far on, I'm developing. We've been developing games for a long time. Some of them have started towards being complete. Some of them have proven that there's faults in them. And they've fallen back down. I have like 6 games. Or game designs that are in various stages, and in this climate, I am actually afraid of pulling any of them out.
There's a degree of
because all it takes
susceptibility that you need to be aware of, that you need to be careful of.
But why?
But that's the truth. That's the truth with anything.
If you said it in history, if like the Call of Cthulhu game that I'm getting ready to run, she read the background of. If that was public background on whatever, like I would possibly be yelled at and called all sorts of names because this is the background in which the story is set. Not because that's what I'm promoting. That's not what I'm doing. I'm literally giving you the history of this area, this thing that's going on, yada yada. Here's the background history that you were being set in. That is being poo-pooed. Like, so you cannot develop like really interesting games that actually teaches, puts people in situations that makes them uncomfortable because
safe space.
Yeah.
When you're gaming, doesn't matter where you are. Everybody.
So like everything has
all
to be
about people feeling
fantasy.
Comfortable, but you don't grow unless you're uncomfortable.
So there's like outside of high fantasy, and some like super sci-fi stuff. If you put it in like actual history and build off of the history or whatever, you're going to get
backlash,
mm-hmm. And people will actively go out and try to ruin your game.
Yes,
which makes me want to Jay and Silent Bob that bitch Like,
yes.
literally, like, so I'll sell my game, I'll take all that money, and I will visit every one of their houses and just beat them retarded.
Right. You're not going to get an argument out of me for that. So,
It's so like it's insane. It's like, you're stifling the one thing that should be
fun.
Like, well, no, like fun. Putting yourself into situations that you are not comfortable with and growing from them.
And here's the thing.
Or putting your character in a situation that you're not used to. As in, like, okay, now my character, I may be a white male, but my character is a dwarf, and I'm now faced with people trying to kill me because I'm different than them.
Right.
Like, how do I deal with that? That's something that I'm not used to, so here's my chance to even in a cursory thing of getting a little bit of that feeling and have some growth. Right. And people poo-poo that and completely think that that's a horrible thing, and gamers are kids and they can't handle it, and this, that, and the other, and without being so
I agree with that, but on to that just real quick, because we're gonna wrap up here in a second. I think we missed our other break.
Who's paying attention?
We'll get to it. But there's something else that I wanted to talk about. As I said, the squeaky wheel gets the grease type of scenario, where these people will manufacture this type of outrage, and they will poo-poo anything that even remotely sounds like something that they're not fucking comfortable with. Which, okay, you're allowed to have your feelings, but your feelings don't dictate fact. And I'm sorry that this fucking perfect world utopian narrative that you've managed to build inside of that Cro-Magnon fucking head of yours isn't fucking panning out the way that you think it should. But it is not the responsibility of anyone to realize your dream. It is your responsibility to realize your dream. You're guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As long as you are alive and free, those are two guarantees. And as long as you are not inhibited or restricted from pursuing your happiness within reason,
and you also can't restrict the right of somebody else to pursue their happiness.
Correct.
As long as it doesn't impact somebody else.
Your rights end where mine begin.
Which is why you shouldn't start punching people.
Your rights end where mine begin. I have a right to safety. I have a right to pursue my own happiness. And there are, of course, guidelines, strictures that fall within that line. However, the key word that people fucking seem to be missing is pursuit. I don't know if you know what that word means, people. I'm sure you fucking do. I hope intelligent people listen to this show. But for anybody out there that might be confused or just maybe not paying enough attention, the word pursuit, you chase. To chase, you have to fucking move. You got to be active. You have to fucking put in some goddamn effort. What? You cannot sit on your fucking ass behind your computer. It's about to be Rant Room with Crazy Chris. You cannot sit on your fucking ass behind your goddamn computer, turn that motherfucker sideways and go for kill shots. It doesn't work that way. Because let me tell you how it works. Real people don't give a flat flying fuck about what your goddamn blog says. They don't fucking care. Your little echo chamber might give a shit.
The only people
no one
that
else does.
do care what you say is the people who also live online.
There you go. And those people aren't
They're
fucking doing anything
in
either.
their echo chamber.
For motherfucking example, I'm going to give y'all an example. Because this shit, I thought about it. And I was like, man, they brought up a really good point, But at the same time, I kind of dug a little deeper. And I was like, no, this is fucking bullshit. There was a child. And I'll probably get a little bit of the actual event incorrect, but the words of the person that's behind it is what I'm going to talk about more than anything. This child was in elementary school and busted his hump to provide money for underprivileged children to be able to eat school lunches without sacrificing anything.
Government funds.
No government fund. He raised the fucking capital. This 8-year-old fucking kid did this by himself. His parents were unaware that it happened. The only people that knew were the friends in his class. and his teachers, the principal, and the parents that he petitioned to do this thing. And you know what? He was successful. He raised the money. He raised more than enough money. Those kids were able to eat the entire fucking year for free because he raised enough money. The post, which was in a meme type format, it was this post about this child. It was a news report. This is what this child did. The comment above the post was, "We should not be celebrating this. This is a fucking tragedy that a child had to do what our fucking lawmakers don't do. This is bullshit." A point raised. A point raised. I get where they're coming from. But here's the thing, Sally Sass-a-Lot. And this is what you're not fucking comprehending. You see, you've admitted that your lawmakers have failed you. According to your moral ethics, according to your moral standard, yours, your lawmakers have failed you. But instead of doing something about it,
you sat on your ass.
You sat on your fucking ass and you made a fucking meme because you're a dumb, fucking, lazy piece of shit. There you go.
Get off your ass and do something about it.
That kid, that 8-year-old made you look shamed.
The government is not there. The government is not there to do anything but protect your ability to do other stuff.
He was what?
He was 14.
Okay, he's 14. I'm sorry.
He was an 8th grader. Is probably where you got
Oh, 8th grade. Okay, there we go.
And he started a project that he called Lunch Counts with a goal of raising enough money to pay off the lunch debts of 3 of the schools with the highest lunch debt.
So it wasn't just one school.
Really, it was kids that couldn't afford to pay for lunch. They gave them lunch anyway. They made a tab.
Okay.
They went to the bar and couldn't pay their tab.
Okay.
And he was paying off their tab.
So fucking even better than the story I fucking gave, minus the age of the child. But a 14-year-old put his money where his fucking mouth was. He didn't bitch. He didn't fucking cry. He didn't go tell the internet about it.
He just did it.
He just fucking shut his damn mouth and got up and did it. Oh, wait, you know what? He's a fucking white blonde kid with, I bet he's a Nazi. I bet he's a fucking Nazi. You know what? That's what
Goddamn
it is.
Racist.
It's fucking racist Nazi. Any fucking ways. This 14-year-old shamed a grown-ass woman. And you know why she posted it? This is at the bottom of the fucking, this is the end of the fucking day because people are people, and this is what it was. She saw a 14-year-old outperforming, outsmarting, and out-fucking working her. And it made her mad that he did something about what she couldn't.
First of all, the government is not...
It's not your fucking babysitter, and it's not your goddamn moneylender.
Right. So when it comes down to it is the reason, as everybody complains that churches are tax exempt, you know why churches are tax exempt?
Because we don't want to return to the fucking dark ages?
Well, no, because churches are tax exempt because they are the ones that provide the majority of your homeless shelters, your food pantries, your community outreach. They're the ones that actually are the ones that do
put in effort and work.
Right. So if you are,
you may not like the religion, but you can't deny their philanthropy.
So I mean, and not all churches are the mega churches you see on TV. Like
Correct.
These are literally like in their building fund to keep up the maintenance,
Correct.
whatever. You have like a couple $1,000s, and that's it.
Yes.
But they're also running soup lines and soup kitchens and pantries and homeless shelters.
Yes.
And if you got rid of that by making them pay taxes, all that stuff goes away.
And then you have government-run soup lines and
no,
soup
because
kitchens.
they can't afford it, so those go away.
Oh no, I get that.
So
but
homeless,
this utopia that we have,
right? But what I'm saying is in all actuality, that stuff goes away. So you have homeless being without shelter. You have homeless being without food. You have underprivileged people being without
clothing.
meals and clothing and this, that, and the other. And
shelter.
That is the reality. So when you say, like, why do churches need... And you have that picture of that mega church, go take a picture of the rural church or the small town church and say, like, yeah, they totally can...
Right.
They could totally match
Joel
up to
Osteen
that.
and things like that, and I get it. There are people who have capitalized on fucking religion's mass
Right.
market appeal to people and their susceptibility
Peter
to...
Popoff in his miracle water.
I mean, right. And that, yes, there are always going to be people that are suckers that are going to pay these fucking
Peter
snake
Popoff.
oil salesmen a shitload of money. It's always going to happen. I don't give a fuck what society you live in. It's always going to happen.
You like you said, you might not like the religion, but look at what they're doing.
Right. And yes, have they fucked up? Yes. Have they waged more wars on humanity than pretty much every other culture?
Name
With
No.
maybe the
anything.
exception of Islam?
I was gonna say, like, no.
With
Has
like
fucked
maybe
up
the
at some
exception
point.
of Islam. By the way,
That's the next thing I'm going to start saying. Well, look at what the Catholic Church is. Name me an organization. Name me something, anything, that hasn't fucked up.
it's okay.
The person behind the keyboard telling you whatever because they won't acknowledge their own fuck up.
I'm gonna. My issue with the Catholic Church is thus.
We're not talking. I was using it as an example.
I know.
We're not talking about the fucking Catholic Church.
My issue with the Catholic Church was not the fact that they fucked up. It was the fact that they fucking covered it up. That's what made me mad.
Yeah,
It
a
wasn't
lot of
the fuck up.
organizations cover it up too. So,
which pisses me
again,
off.
we're not talking about any specific religion right now. I was just saying
I know.
that as an example.
I was just calm down.
It's off topic.
On that note, we are going to have to call it
I don't want to call it. I call it bullshit.
because we're already at the.
The 2 hour mark. I think
Yeah.
we're over that, anyways. Yeah. Oh no, we just hit it. That's not too bad. We're not horrible, but yeah, we're definitely over on time. We'll. This show ran a little bit long too. We got started late and things happened. We got on
used
some
to it.
touchy subjects. Yeah, don't get used to this particular thing. But we just went a little bit over. We were talking about some pretty intense fucking subject matter. So here's the thing: don't be a dick to each other. Have some fucking respect, but at the same time, and if you want to see some fucking change, go out and change it. Don't bitch about it. The internet's never accomplished anything but fucking arguments.
Truth.
I mean, it's that, and then
And this show.
and then, well, yeah, in this show. Shh. With that being said, go to patreon.com/GP Network and consider donating to us in a monetary way. We thank each and every one of our fucking listeners. Big shout out, real quick, to Big Mike, one of my friends down at where I work. He was actually going on a cross-country trip. He was pimping us out in the car on his trip.
Nice.
And during the ride, he had a friend with him, and the friend was asking about us. And he's like, "Hey, where do I find this?" And I guess he favorited the Geek Public Radio on his phone. And Mike dropped him off at the house, and he went back over there a little bit later. They had dinner, and they had the show on.
Nice.
And his dad and his mom, this kid's dad and his mom, they were all listening to it, and they were laughing their asses off. And so,
Awesome.
pimp out to him. We got two new fans out in California. Excuse me, we got 3 new fans out in California now.
Nice.
So.
I'm sorry you
Fans
live in
in
California.
Hello, guys. So, yeah, big thanks to Big Mike, who's always repped the show. He pimps us out. And Rude Jude on Shade 4-5. That's another guy apparently I need to listen to. That's Big Mike tells me that that's who I remind him of. So,
Okay.
yeah. So apparently I got to listen to him.
All right.
And thanks, Jude, I guess. All right. We will be coming back to you again at 8 o'clock,
Okay.
God willing. 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on geekpublicradio.com. This has been Crazy Chris.
Krista.
Nantover.
Oh my God, he said his name.
I talked today.
I know. You have been an absolutely lovely audience. We love each and every one of you. Be safe, be good, and good night.